wanted to make a quick introduction. I'm Clifton Johnson. I'm the director of the Student Center, so we wanted to welcome you here today in our brand new facility. We opened in January 2016, so we are one of 2 LEED Platinum Student Centers in the United States. The other one is San Diego State University, so we take appreciation of our bragging rights for being the only one Student Center on the East Coast for being LEED Platinum, so we're very excited about that accomplishment. A little bit about the Student Center is we are a resource for students, the campus community, and the external community, so we provide a lot of services to help our students' success, but we also have opportunities for community members to rent spaces like this to host their events, conferences, etc. So if you have any information after this and wanted to find out more about renting space here at UDC, feel free to reach out and we can get you in contact with the appropriate people.
Good morning. Before we get started, we have a couple of house cleaning items to take care of. For the folks who parked in the garage, I understand one of the parking kiosks might not be working. Just be aware that there are 2 parking kiosks and you have to pay your parking ticket. I think it's $8 for 3 hours before you exit the garage. And there are 2 parking kiosks. Another thing, all of the information that we present to one of the locations that this information will be available is at the MWMCA.org website. So if you have any questions about anything that we discussed here today, you can go to that website, as well as the University of the District of Columbia website, and we're about to get started.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Come on, y'all can do better than that. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Next, we're going to do some jumping jacks. You ready for that? That's the extent of the jumping jack. My name is Wayne Frazier, and I am president of the Maryland, Washington Minority Companies Association. We're located in Baltimore, and we've had the wonderful opportunity to be invited to the campuses of University of District of Columbia, UDC, to help stimulate greater utilization of the CBE certified businesses, along with women and minority-owned businesses, as well as we have a few major prime general contractors and construction managers here who would like to meet you and do business with you as well. We'll discuss some of those later. Now, a little bit about the Maryland, Washington Minority Companies Association, MWMCA. MWMCA, we are a connecting advocates, sometimes trouble making. We assist companies in getting certified through the Maryland Department of Transportation, as well as through the City of Baltimore. We also assist in resolutions, mediation, payment disputes. I'm quite sure if you've been in business long enough, you've had an opportunity where folk didn't want to pay you or didn't pay you promptly. Well, you have a fighter, whether you're southpaw or right-handed, you have a fighter in us to assist you in getting paid prior to you going to your legal counsel. We had methods to assist you in getting paid that attorneys cannot provide or do. And if we can't help you, we'll let you know immediately. We also have a worldwide website, the best, the #1 for minority and women business, and it provides you with constant information, data, like today, information on events like this, where you can go and learn and take advantage of opportunities that are out here in the DMV. And by the way, That's our primary market area, the DMV, District of Columbia, Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia. And we'll add in there Southern Pennsylvania up to Harrisburg, and then, okay. And then, oh, that's better. Y'all hear that? I can hear that myself. And then south to Richmond. And we make it our goal to meet decision makers. Those who will bring you in, who will procure with you, and ultimately pay you. That's our role. So, without further ado, I'd like to bring on the first speaker this morning, and that is Mr. LaTroy Lamel Stovall, and he is the Chief Operating Officer of the University of District of Columbia. And among other responsibilities, Mr. Stovall has been tasked with implementing the university's Equity Imperative Strategic Plan. He is here to speak on behalf of the university's president, Mason, and the Board of Trustees. Mr. Lamel Stovall, please come forward.
Did the presentation, Clifton? Where'd Clifton go? You probably need the presentation up. That's fine. I'll wing it. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Troy Lamel Stovall. I am the Chief Operating Officer for the University of and for the District of Columbia. And so welcome to the University of the District of Columbia. How many of you know that the University of the District of Columbia isn't just in the District of Columbia? How many of you know that we have a 150-acre working farm in Beltsville, Maryland? How many of you know that we have a hangar out at Nationals Airport that has the only aircraft maintenance facility in the area? How many of you know that outside of those two facilities and outside of this here at Van Ness, we have 6 other sites in the District of Columbia? And I'm here to announce that hopefully it's going to hold up. Yesterday, the council passed their budget, the $15.5 billion budget. Well, tucked in there was $35 million for us to buy this building here right next door that many of you probably know as the Fannie Mae building. We call it 4250 Connecticut Avenue, that we will be purchasing it as of October 1. And that will become home, and that's a huge project. Thank you. And so we're here. I thought I was going to be able to show you the equity imperative, but that's fine. If Clifton, you got it? Oh, how about that? Our timing is great. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees, whose chair is Christopher Bell, and the President, Ronald Mason, welcome to our Student Center to the university. We have a lot of opportunities here. Just last year, as part of the equity imperative, which I'll go into more details about, Mr. Thompson, who you'll meet here in a few minutes, Mr. Thompson is our Vice President for what we call CARES, Capital Asset and Real Estate Services Facilities. We presented our capital request to the district. Now you have to understand what's happening here at the University of District of Columbia, just a little bit of history. So many of you are probably from the district and recognize that years ago there was a control board. And the control board, when they took over, they cut budgets dramatically here. They cut it for the parks, they cut it for the schools, they cut it for the libraries, and they cut it for the University of the District of Columbia. But over the years since the control board, the district has been reinvesting in parks, in libraries, in the schools, but they did not reinvest in the University of the District of Columbia. Matter of fact, the control board not only cut our budget in half, they cut the half in half. And so what that has led to, you sit here in this beautiful building and people think that this building represents the University of the District of Columbia. It does not. It's a great building. I love it. It's a LEED Platinum building, as Mr. Johnson told you. But behind this building, we have over $200 million of needs that need to happen to our buildings. We have roofs that need to be repaired. We have buildings literally yesterday because of the heat that were very hot. We cannot, there's no environmental controls in most of our buildings. We have labs that are ancient. We have an IT system that is over 20 years old. The joke that I tell Eric and his team, we have 50-year-old buildings with 80-year-old infrastructure. We have 3 chillers, but only 1.5 of them really work. We have pipes that are leaking all the time. Whenever we try to turn on the heat or turn on the air, we have to wait for weeks to make sure that's actually going to happen. So there's quite a bit of work that we need to do. And that work totals up to about $700 million. $700 million is the number that we gave to the district of saying the investment that's needed to make the University of the District of Columbia truly the flagship institution of and for the people of the District of Columbia. That is what is required. That's the investment that is required. And so what is this thing called equity imperative? How do I work it? I got to do it manually? Or you'll do it? So the equity imperative actually started because of the mayor. So the mayor has had her last two State of the Districts address here at the university at our theater, which needs help. It needs a new roof, it needs new lighting systems, it needs a new stage, it needs a new green room, it needs a lot of stuff. But the mayor talked about the 5 overarching priorities. And actually this last, this was 2 months ago, the one this past year, she said that she wants to make the university the first choice for the students of the District of Columbia, the first choice. And so, but what's this definition of middle class in the district? Well, this is the definition economically of the middle class. And I know you're all contractors, but the reason for a building, let me be clear on this. The reason to have a building is such that that building can produce what the programmatic aspects are that we're trying to do in that building. And the building has to align. And right now our buildings don't align to our building. And just yesterday, actually, I was moderating a conversation with a bunch of folks on new market tax credits, because we're talking about doing new market tax credits and opportunities on financing. A lot of work that I did at some other places that I was at. And the point I wanted to tell those folks was, all the buildings that I've done over my career, they're about one thing: giving hope. Giving hope. Because when Ron Mason and I were in Mississippi together, and we used to say all the time that the buildings we had at Jackson State University had to be at the same par, the same quality as those at Ole Miss or Mississippi State. An SAT score, an ACT score, or socioeconomic should not define the type of facilities that students should have. And that's the same thing for here at the University of the District of Columbia. The students that we attract need to see those buildings giving them hope and giving them an opportunity to do more than what they have. So what does that mean? Well, look at this. Look at these numbers here. For DC median household is $75,000, but for whites it's $127,000 for middle income. And by the way, the whites have about an 80% chance of having a degree, whereas blacks at $37,000, less than $40,000, have a 40% chance of having a degree in the District of Columbia. Keep going. And so, you see, this is just more stuff here. So we're saying we got to attack this. If we're going to be the public institution of higher, the only public institution of higher learning in the district, we have to attack this. This is just some demographics of our students. Basically, we're educating the students that we need to be educated here at the District of Columbia. And so we're saying this pathway is incomplete. Our facilities are incomplete. Our programs can't be what they can be without a facility that has that. And so this is what this is all about. And so this is our vision. Keep going. This is our vision. Every student will achieve, remember I talked about hope? Talked about hope? That's our vision. Will achieve his or her highest level of human potential. And we're going to do that through various cores and pillars. And we've got a number of outcomes. You keep going through this because we need to go through all this. We've got some things in place. Look, I'll stop right here. When Ron and I and the other leadership team got here, we're coming up on our 4-year anniversary. There were some serious challenges. We actually had questions about accreditation. Our financial aid actually was on probation at the time. The mayor actually had cut our budget at that time. And we had serious questions about enrollment. Since then, the mayor's been steadily increasing our budget, not at the pace we'd like, but has been doing it. We not only got through accreditation, we got commendations, which for those who don't understand that means we're doing great stuff, which was a miracle in and of itself. We now have increased enrollment every year of the new student enrollment. We have a new program called DC Up. If any of you are DC residents, if your child finishes number 1 or number 2 in their public high school or public charter high school, they can come to the university for free, plus have a housing stipend. Okay? The first year we had that, we budgeted 50 showed up. We now have over 300 of these students, because in addition to that, within the DMV, we allow for anyone with a 3.0 to a 3.7 GPA have a graduated scholarship at 3.7. It's a full ride. No housing stipend. Got to pay for that. And so the way the president, back to something that you all will get, what we had to do those first few years is clear out the construction film. We had to clear it out. We had to clear out the debris. And now what you're beginning to see is pillars starting to rise. We're starting to have stuff coming out, programs. And in order to do that, we've got to have facilities. And so you can keep going. and I'm going to be shutting down and take any questions. You keep going back to all this. So, stay here. We have, look, a number of things about this institution people just don't know about. And that's on us. We have to do a better job of telling our story. But we need your help too. Because I'm in the strange business of higher ed. I got a daughter now, we're actually about to go on her college tours. And it's an interesting thing, right? For those of you that are taking your kids or had kids to go to college. You go visit a school for an hour, 30 minutes, do the tour. You get the brochures, you go back home, and you make a decision. You know how you really make that decision? Based off of your eyes. Based off of your eyes. Because that school could have all kinds of great stuff going on, but you're going to remember what you saw. And Eric knows, I tell him this all the time. It doesn't matter if we had Nobel laureates here, if we gave out 100% scholarships, if the toilets don't work, if the place don't look good, if it ugly, ain't nobody coming. Ain't nobody coming. And so facilities are a foundational part of what we do as an academic strategy. It fundamentally is. And we've got to do a better job of telling our story. And so you can keep going. I talked about some of these challenges here, old technology, 50-year infrastructure. We have no student housing. We have no student. I think the number one issue we have right now is we lease some apartments across the street that is highly inadequate. And so one of the bigger projects Eric and his team will probably talk about to you all later today is our plans to do some student housing at a number of our sites. Keep going, I'm about to wrap up. You just keep going past all this. Again, all this is on our website. There are 3 goals, and I'm going to end on that. There are 3 goals within Equity Imperative. The first one, and they work on one another. The first goal is to become an urban model, a model of urban higher education. What does that mean? If any of you really study this, and I know many of you probably do, the world is about to become very urbanized. Very urbanized. And so there should be a new type of way in which we educate and prepare someone to be a student and a contributor in those urban environments. So first we gotta become a model ourselves of how we do that education. And a different way of thinking about how degrees work, how pathways work, how we educate, the time to a degree, how much it costs to have that degree. The second one, we just gotta graduate them. We just gotta graduate them. We gotta do a better job of that, we do. And the third one is, back to the first one, we want those who we graduate to be urban transformative leaders. And so that cycles back, because if we're graduating urban transformative leaders, we have become that model of urban higher education, graduating students who are urban transformative leaders. That's what we're trying to do. And so keep going. I said, so this is the investment. So these are the investment slides. We've asked the district for $61 million of operating investments over the next 4 years. They haven't met that target. They've been giving us some monies, but not at this pace that we would like, so we've got to readjust this plan to modulate. We thought this would be a 4-year plan. We pretty much can see it's probably going to be a 10-year plan. That's just the way these things work. That's the operating side, and a lot of that money is so we can pay people better, launch new programs, and get the new hires that we need to get. On the capital side, this is the capital. I told you $724 million. That's what we need to truly transform this place. And Garrick will probably go into a lot more details on what some of these pieces are. Housing, going into Ward 7. I was in Ward 8 yesterday at the Rise Center, the Bacchus campus. I talked about the $200 million to just fix this campus, just to fix this campus. And to fix this campus, you got to understand, in our building, that's our biggest building, we got chalkboards. I got chalkboards in my buildings. In our biggest building, with our arts and science. So if we do all this, what do we get? By the way, the district only invests 1.1% of its total of its local funds budget in the university. That doesn't mean anything, but compare that to the national average of Maryland or Virginia, 4 to 5 to 6%. We're 1.1% of the district's operating. That's about $8 billion, not the 15. 15 has federal monies in it. $8 billion, we get 1% of that. And this investment I just talked about moves that number to 1.3. So we're not trying to break the bank here. We believe we can do this and provide a very reasonable college, because our point is to provide access, affordability, a quality education, but we can't do that. We cannot do that without the facilities that we're required to bring that hope to our students. So again, I want to thank you all for being here today. I'll be here for a minute. I actually have my staff meeting here around 11 o'clock, but I'll be here for a little bit. I can take any questions. I don't know how much time I have. I'll take any quick questions, but Eric and his team, they know way more than I do. That's why I have them. Anything? Yes?
Yes, good morning. First of all, thank you for sharing that information. So stating that this 10-year capital budget is $724 million. At what point will you know if these funds are actually approved to actually make the investment?
Yeah, I didn't say it. So the way the district's capital budgeting works, it's a 6-year rolling cycle. And so every year, another year gets added on to the end. So we just, yesterday they approved our 6-year cycle, and that's got $120 million in it over 6 years, okay? But the $35 million I talked about is now for us to buy that building. So right now our projects in the $120 million, Eric will go into this more detail, I'm sure, is to finish our main library, to do what we can for some of the roofs and the windows on the campus, begin some upgrades in 4250, and get to 4225 as well. I think those are the bigger projects. And by the way, I didn't say this. Maybe you know there's the Walgreens building across the street, 4225 Connecticut. We control that building now too. And so we control 80% of the retail here on Connecticut Avenue. And so you'll soon be seeing us launching a fairly aggressive effort to revitalize this corridor and create what I call more stickiness. We've got to find a way to use retail to keep students here. We're working on a deal with WMATA to change, to allow our students to have a lower price for commuting. We've got a child care center here. So we're doing all these pieces to help to make sure that our students are thought through, not just academically, but making sure we thought of them holistically. So I know I'm probably running out of time, and I'm out of time. But I appreciate you all. Appreciate you guys for being here today and helping us put this on. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Troy. Now, Troy had mentioned that there was roofing issues and then new construction opportunities. And we have two firms here this morning who can assist, who are seeking CBE utilization and assistance. And one is Tremco, which is a roofing contractor. Terry Williams Smith is here representing them, and they were involved in the planning process a few years ago with UDC in preparing for this. And then we have Sasha Rapp from the Hess Construction Company right across the county in Montgomery County, and they are grade builders in higher ed and K through 12. And so if you get a chance, you want to stand up a second side so you can see who we are. Before you leave today, you want to meet the folks if you desire to work with these companies. Also, we have here this morning 6 or 7 great partners that are also looking for CBE utilization. We have Washington Gas, we have the DC Department of Small Business, we have DC Water, we have Washington Metropolitan Transit Authority, WMATA, and we have Metropolitan Washington Airport Authority. We have the PNC Bank, who loves to lend money to CBE and women and minority business. And then we have Centennial Surety, who have revolutionized providing surety bonding coverage for minority and small businesses. So next, our next speaker is from the DC Water, and that's Mr. Corey Gray. He is the director of the enterprise programs for DC Water. Mr. Gray?
So, good morning. Again, my name is Corey Gray. I am the Director of Enterprise Programs, Culture and Engagement for DC Water out of the Office of the General Manager. And I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't first bring you greetings on behalf of our new General Manager and CEO, Mr. David Gaddis, as well as the Procurement and Compliance team, two of which, Jamal Jones and Albert Slack, are there. And I think I saw Teresa Scott somewhere in the middle as well, who was one of our procurement managers. DC Water, we are a pretty aggressive organization when it comes to certified firm utilization. It's nice that I can see so many of my friends in the audience, Ms. Taylor, and I think Dr. Strahan is there, ma'am, but it's also kind of exciting to see some new firms, some new faces. DC Water, we're keenly interested in meeting firms and working with you as you're helping us to develop the enterprise that we have. We're in the midst of a $2.7 billion capital program, We spend another 200 or 300 million a year in goods and services and other construction, vertical and horizontal, frankly. But you know what? The problem that we have, ma'am, the problem that we have is that we spend the money with the same firms. Even our certified firms, which I love. I love my certified firms. We did over 50% local small participation last year and 37% with our M's and W's last year, but it was essentially the same businesses, sir. It was essentially the same businesses. And for me, I don't think that that's achieving the spirit of the program. So part of what I'll tell you, my message today is a challenge to you as well, that if you're interested in providing DC Water with goods and services, industrial supplies, IT supplies, staffing solutions, construction, horizontal, vertical, renovations, what have you, paper, professional services, consulting. If you have those things, engineering, if you have those things and you've not looked at DC Water before, I challenge you to come and talk with us. I challenge you to come and meet with us so we can talk about what we really have, the things that we have. I mean, Albert and Jamal and Teresa, we've got paper over on our table, but that's only half the story. The real strength and the real connection that we make is when we engage. We have this thing we call Vendor Day, where we meet with firms one-on-one for about an hour, just to understand what you are, what you're about, and we chart a pathway to procurements with DC Water. If you're going to bid as primes, if you're going to bid as a subcontractor, partner, mentor, protege, what have you. So we want to get to know who you are. My old job used to tell us people do business with people they know. Someone updated that vernacular recently for me, and people do business with people they trust. And so part of that effort then is for us to get to know each other. You trust DC Water, you trust me. We get to know you, and then we get to, on your behalf, talk about how great you are. So, you know, the other thing is when we talk about certifications, that was just you proving that you're capable of doing the work. Not that you're small or whatever the designation is, minority or disadvantaged or women owned. That's secondary to the fact that you proved to a body that you could do the work. And so now we want to make sure that we sell you on that you can do the work. But part of that is just we got to get to know who you are. We're going to have about another $150 million in opportunities going into fiscal 20 for us. Again, that crosses the bridge of goods and services as well as construction. And a lot of that is our typical small diameter, large valve replacement jobs. But some of that is also building renovations. We have a whole building over at Blue Plains. The office moved recently to our new office in 1385 Canal Street. But we still have this huge, massive building over at Blue Plains that we're going to have to build out. We're going to need some firms to come and provide those services. We need furniture. We're going to need a firm to provide us with furniture. We're going to need design services. We're going to need consultants to come and help us. We're going to need IT equipment. Ms. Holden, we're going to need security. We're going to need some help that you guys can provide us. But we won't know that if we don't know who you are. And I tell you this, that we have a competitive bidding process where you have to submit a bid and you have your 30 days, what have you. I think it sucks. Because in 30 days, you don't have the time to build the relationships that you need to actually submit a reasonable bid. Otherwise, you're just one of several firms that are responding to us. But if you come and meet with us and you come and talk with us, when we know that you're bidding, then we, the compliance team, we're your advocates. So we know, hey, we know what? Dr. String and ARJ, they're about to submit a bid. Teresa, when you see it, let us know. Or if you're bidding with a prime, then we know who you're working with, so when we see that prime contractor's bid, we keep them honest. Well, I know that you met with Mr. Prime, you met with a certified firm, but I don't see them on your team. Why not? Or if we see you on the team, then we're going to reach back to you and figure out, did they treat you right up front? Right? One of the things we talk about, if they treat you bad up front, they're going to treat you like dirt on the back end. So we want to guard against that by doing the checks and balances when we first start this thing. We're very aggressive. The DC Water Compliance team, we're very aggressive. We believe in one key thing is what we believe in is we work for you. And some of you who've met me have heard me say this, and it's true. Presumably you pay your water bill, so you pay my salary. You pay me well. Put me to work. Put me to work. My job is to make sure that you as a certified firm are getting equitable opportunities to bid and work with us, either as a prime or as a sub. And then once you get the bid, once you win the award, once you're added as the sub, My job is to make sure that you're actually performing the work for which you were contracted to do and paid. We have a life cycle monitoring effort for compliance. The team there, Albert, Slack, and Jamal, and the other folk on compliance, they are your officers. They will monitor the projects, make sure you're paid, make sure your invoicing is straight. The primes do not get paid if we can't verify that you're getting paid. There's an actual process involved with that. We sign off on all the invoices. We hold them accountable. So I say all that as a way to tease you, as a way to encourage you that if you have not thought about working with us before, to consider us. We're more than pipes, we're more than water, but more importantly, we actually make sure that the opportunities that we talk about are real, and then we make sure that once you get those opportunities, that you're treated fairly and with respect, and that we help you grow. The other part of the program that we have is that we don't just believe that our certified firms should just be subs, or should be proteges, or whatever the relationship is. We want our certified firms to prime. In fact, our new general manager, Mr. Gaddis, has made it a mandate, particularly our women business enterprises who've traditionally not done very well with us, that we need to see more primes, especially on our engineering side, by the way. So if you're interested, and I say that to you again, if you're interested, come and talk with us. We definitely want to hear from you. We want to get to know you, and we want to create opportunities that you can be successful, because when you succeed, so do we. Last piece of advice, I'll tell you, if you have one of these, that's the most important thing you have for us right now. You can come to the table and you can get some information, sure. What we really need to do is get a way to contact you, because we want to build that relationship with you. And if you've come to us before, maybe have not seen some results, come back. We definitely want to talk to you. We definitely want to get to know you. So leave us a card. Let's talk about, let's set up a vendor day meeting with us, and let's do some business. Thank you. Any questions? I'm sorry.
What you are doing here is yeah. I've known you for a long time, over 10 years. And what you haven't told these people is that you don't even return phone calls. You don't even return phone calls. And we have this, we have that, we have that. It's all bullshit. You know, for 10 years I've been coming to DC Water. They bought only one thing for me, and I have to go to a white man. I had to go to a white man to tell you, buy from your puro negro. Okay, stop lying and stop cheerleading. Yeah.
So Mr. Kissy is one of our, is an attempted vendor for paper supplies. So, yeah, let me make something clear though. When we talk about opportunities, these are not giveaways, and these aren't sole source opportunities. And you may actually be competing with another certified firm. So if you're going up against, if you're trying to offer supplies of paper, we actually have 100% of our work that goes to a certified business enterprise for paper. You cannot, we don't expect you to, and I hope you're not expecting to get a handout, because that's not what we're about. You will have to compete with a certified firm, and if there's certified firms that are in your industry, you're competing with them. We will make it clear, we'll make the opportunity fair and clear. We'll provide an equal opportunity, but we're not going to give handouts. So to Mr. Kissy and anyone else, again, when you're coming to us, we'll talk about that, but when you're coming to us, we'll help you identify who your competitors are so that you can see the certified ones and not. But again, we're going to create the opportunity for you to be successful. You still have to do your part and give us good prices and good quality of services, what have you. But again, we definitely encourage you to do so. Yes, sir.
Mr. Gray, I'm Cal Party from I'm an architect engineer. I know you a long time. You did an excellent job when you were the Vermata. But I agree a little bit with this guy that it is kind of a closed circuit now, you know. So you mentioned that you want more certified businesses to do the business. Are you going to make some small business set aside? And do you have on-call vertical, and when is going to be repeat on those? So can you elaborate on something like that?
Yeah, and it's a good question, thank you. So I mentioned before, the issue, the challenge that we've had is that we make our goals, right? We're pretty good with meeting our MWMCA goals, and we're good at doing our certified business utilization, but it's always been with the same firms. And I said that up front. And that's, I think, again, is a breach in the spirit of what we're trying to do. And so to your point, to your question, and we would love to talk with you if you haven't done so already, we're changing our business development plan. We've actually started working on that in November to completely rewrite it. It's about 20 years old. And since we took over in the last year or so, we've done a complete rewrite of it, and we're still seeking comments on that to make sure that we're making this relevant and support what you're looking for and support opportunities for you. But the crux of it, frankly, at the very base of it is we want to create a pathway for new firms to get into work. So where you have outdated, what we call those good faith efforts that really were just kind of, quantitative type of deals, check the box type of things that really didn't create new opportunities, we're doing away with those. And we're redesigning how we do outreach. We're redesigning how DC Water connects. And so part of it is what we're holding primes accountable to, but the other part of it is, frankly, is what DC Water is going to do to encourage firms like you, frankly, who should prime some jobs. And you said set aside, I don't use that word, but we are creating a pathway for certified firms to prime some of these jobs. So instead of having to bid as a partner on a $50, $100 million job, we can create a pathway for maybe the $5 to $10 million job, the $20 million job, something more in your sweet spot that you can certainly prime for us on. So that's part of the revisions of the business development plan. What I'll challenge you on again is I need you to come and talk with us because I want your input to make sure that that plan is actually going to work. I tell you what, so we'll be over here on the side, so just come on and visit. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey. Excuse me, just a little housekeeping, and this is my error. We want to hold questions until the end so that we can get all speakers in and allow you time to meet the various vendors here. Now, this thing about bringing in new firms that the primes or that the utilities would like to meet, because the unique thing is that this morning we had firms here that University District of Columbia do business with right now. And so they're sitting here listening as you are that, oh, we're looking for new firms to do business with. And they're thinking to themselves, well, what about us? We just a slice of cheese or something? I mean, aren't we providing the services that you need? And you probably are. But competition always brings out the best. So, if you haven't received an opportunity in the past, please don't give up, because business is always moving forward, always. So, the next person that I'd like to bring up is from the Metropolitan Washington Airport Authority, and this young lady is the manager of the Supplier Diversity Outreach, Michelle McIver. Please come forward.
Does this work? Good morning. Can you hear me? Yes. You can. I just want a quick pulse check. How many people in this room are LDBEs with the Washington Airport Authority? So in case you've never seen my face, I am Michelle McKeever. I'm the person that sends you all of those emails. So I am here once again from the Metropolitan, I might need to hold this, Metropolitan Washington Airport Authority. This is a little better. Metropolitan Washington Airport Authority Supply Chain Management. And we're here today. We have our table over there. We brought a ton of opportunities with you. For those of you who are certified LDBEs, you should be receiving now our quarterly forecast. Can you just raise your hand if you've received our second quarter? Okay, good. So we have a ton of them over at our table. We have our second quarter. I just finished up with our third quarter also, which if you're certified with us, I'll be sending that out probably in about a week. But just to give you an intro to the Airport Authority, we are also like a city. We buy absolutely everything. We are responsible for Reagan Airport, Dulles Airport, the toll road, as well as the rail line. So we buy everything from sand. I've looked for ammunition. I've looked for IT. I've looked for catering. And a big thing I'm looking for, so if anyone in this room does anything with automotive, autos, tires, please come see me because I'm desperately looking for that now. But we're actually over here at the table to answer any questions for you guys, but we have a ton of our opportunities, and we did bring our, like I said, we do have our second quarter forecast with us today. So what it will actually go over is it has the requesting office, it has the dollar amount, and it has your NAICS code. So please feel free to come over and talk to us. I'm over here with one of our contracts officers and would be more than happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Michelle. How many knew that the beginning of the University of District of Columbia started way back in 1851? Raise your hand if you knew that. 1851, that's 168 years ago. And at that time, it was the Matilla Miners School for Colored Girls. And then in 1876 to 1955, it became Minor Teacher College. And then in 1873 to 1955, you had a Wilson's Teachers College. And then somehow, between 1955 and 1977, DC Teachers College came into existence. And then they were all merged in 1972, in the 76 when it became the University of District of Columbia. And it's also a law school. Are you aware of that? The David A. Clark School of Law, which was formerly Antioch School of Law. So all of those institutions somehow merged together to become what you see here today, 168 years strong. Next, I'd like to bring forward Melissa Real, who is the Business Certification Manager for the DC Department of Small and Local Business Development. Come on up.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, so my name is Melissa Rizal. I'm the Business Certification Manager with the DC Department of Small and Local Business Development. Is this better? Sorry, okay. Can you guys hear me? Oh, there you go. Good morning. You can't hear me still, right? I'll just stand here. So how many of you guys are familiar with the Department of Small and Local Business Development, also known as DSLBD? Great. So I won't go in. For those of you guys who don't know about us, we are the department that really supports the development, growth, and retention of district-based businesses. We also provide a lot of assistance to our local businesses, whether it's through loan products that we have, technical assistance through a lot of our workshops. And one of the main programs, which I'm going to talk about today, is the Certified Business Enterprise Program. So that is the local inclusion program for for-profit businesses that are located in here in the District of Columbia. And so that's what I'm going to talk about today. How many CBEs do I have in the room? Oh, awesome. Yay. And so I will start and say, for those that are existing CBEs, if you have not looked at your profile lately on the DSLBD website, please do so and make sure all your information is correct. If you do need to update any information, we do have a new enterprise system that was released about a year ago. And so if you have not accessed that system yet, I would encourage you to do so just to make sure all of your information is correct. So that way, if our compliance division is going out to do spot checks, if any procurement officer is trying to look for you, you're at the right address and you have the right contact information there. So just wanted to give you guys that advice there. And so for the businesses that aren't CBE yet or are CBE eligible, Just to give you a little bit, the main benefits about the program, there are 3 benefits. One is that, again, we set aside procurements for local businesses. And to give you an idea of what that means is, every year we have a budget. The district has a budget. 50% of that expendable budget is set aside for small businesses. This year, it's about $844 million that is set aside for local small businesses. So that's a lot of money, right? Okay. And so what I wanted you guys to know is also about the SBE Opportunities Guide. It's the Small Business Enterprise Opportunities Guide. Many of the CBEs in the room have received the book. If you have not, let me know. I'll be at the table over there, the DSLBD table. But that book breaks down all the district agencies that we monitor. It's about 84 agencies. And 50% of the expendable budget, so after we extract all of personnel costs, those services that aren't eligible for CBE spend, once we get that number, 50% of that number has to be spent with local CBEs, okay? And so that book is going to break down all of the agencies and their budgets and where they're spending with CBEs based on the NIGB codes that they have, that they're spending in. So that is a good resource to figure out, okay, where is the district buying, spending their money, right? What agencies should I probably, work with or interact with? So that's a good resource for you. In addition to that, 35% of any contract over $250,000, 35% of that contract has to go to local small businesses. So a lot of the district assisted projects that you see in the city, like the wharf project, a lot of the cranes that you see, any district assisted project, 35% of that contract amount goes to local firms. So that is an opportunity for you. So, and also don't just think about the main industries like construction, we have landscaping, janitorial, things of that nature. When you're looking at a construction job, you can figure out like the IT, what made this room, a lot of the fixtures in this room. So suppliers, catering. So a lot of the development projects have events and they're looking for CBE caterers because again, they have to spend with local businesses. So that's the second benefit of becoming a CBE. The other, anything under $250,000 goes directly to CBEs. So what the District of Columbia has is the DC supply schedule. So that is the schedule that we use to procure small purchases, and we must use CBEs as a part of that schedule. So those are the 3 benefits. I mentioned the $844 million. That should capture your attention right away to know that you should go look at the Green Book and figure out where can I fit in this and get a piece of that pie. So a little bit about the program. I won't go into too much detail about it. But you see here we have 8 certification categories, one that you must meet. I mentioned that the program is for local for-profit businesses, so you must meet that local business enterprise definition, which I'll talk about in a moment, in order to enter into the program. Once you meet that definition, there are 7 other categories that you can apply for within that certification that will give you additional points or additional preference in terms of a percentage or price reduction. So I mentioned you receive preference on procurement opportunities. This is how you do that. So based on the amount of points that your business has within its profile, that's what's utilized in the procurement process when they're evaluating your business. And you can note here that the total will total more than 12 points or 12%, but that's the maximum that you can receive is 12 or 12%. And I like to go over this definition for businesses that are thinking about moving to DC. It's not just getting an office in DC. You have to meet this full definition in order to participate in the program. So your principal office has to be located in DC, and those who are managing your business, the CEO and highest level managers, those individuals have to maintain their office and show a presence in that location. So that's a very important piece because a lot of times when we do conduct site visits, we don't see the management team there, the decision makers, those day-to-day decision makers. And that's important for us because the question comes up, okay, well, where are they operating? And if it's outside of the district, that can affect your eligibility as a CBE. In addition to that, there's one of 4 criteria that you must meet, so it's only one of the 4. So either more than 50% of the owners or the employees have to be district residents, or more than 50% of your gross receipts have to be district gross receipts, or more than 50% of your assets, so fixed assets, have to be located in the district. So once you meet that criteria, we do have a CBE wizard. So once you register in our new enterprise system, you will see a box for a CBE wizard. I suggest that you click on that. It's 6 questions that you can answer that will really get at whether or not you meet the local test. And what the wizard also does, it provides you with a sample checklist. So it's an online application, about 8 steps, and within that, you have to upload supporting documents to that application. So the wizard is a helpful tool for those that are considering entering into the program. And I wanted to show you, our website is dslbd.dc.gov. If you go to the Get Certified tab, the new applicants section is where you will see the requirements that I just mentioned, as well as the wizard that I mentioned, if you're interested in the program. For those CBEs that are in the room, this is also where you'll select the returning applicants section and be able to enter into the new enterprise system. If you do have issues accessing the profile or accessing the new system, we do have a support team there, and their email address is des.support@dc.gov. So if you're trying to log in and update your profile, because one of the good changes that we made is you don't need our approval to update your primary contacts or your email addresses or things of that nature, so you can just log in and do that. Another update to the new system that may be helpful if you have not recertified yet, the certification is good for 3 years. 90 days before you expire, you do receive an email, so that's why it's important to check that you have the right information located in the system. Once you receive that email, if you've had no material change since your last approved application, so you haven't moved, you haven't changed ownership, you're still considered small, and you are in good standing with the District of Columbia, it's a 1-page affidavit now that you fill out and receive your number immediately. So it's no longer the 9 steps that you had to complete previously in order to receive your number again. So that's a good update for those of you who have not recertified yet. If there is a change, it is a shorter process. So it's about 2 steps depending on what changes you're trying to make. But again, for those who have no change, we have improved that process. And for time's sake, I will wrap up. So I mentioned the website, dslbd.dc.gov. That's where you can access the information related to the CBE program. We do have, once you're certified, I would encourage you to visit the table to find out about our workshops that we have. We do have a I'm Certified Now What workshop, and that will go through, the DC supply schedule registration, all of the resources that are available to you after you become certified. We also have a business opportunities division. So a lot of businesses want to know about access to capital. So we have a lot of relationships with micro lenders, and the business opportunities division through our district capitalized program, they're able to connect you with a lot of those lenders, micro lenders, in addition to kind of provide that technical assistance and support and talk to you a little bit about where you are in your business and what resources you may need. And so feel free to visit our table and learn about all the resources we have. I will be over there as well to answer any questions you have. If you are an existing CBE and want to check out your profile, and we do have a laptop over there to help you through that process as well. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa. Appreciate that. Next, I'd like to bring up a very strong component, educational component here at the university, and that's their workforce development opportunities. And I'd like to bring Anika Holmes, who is the Associate Dean for Workforce Development here at the University of District of Columbia.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here this morning. As he said, I am Anika Holmes, the Associate Dean of Workforce Development and Lifelong Learning. And I'm excited because, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I have 15 years of workforce development experience setting up programs for Department of Labor. And in that, I was the Strategic Partner Management of Business Services. And I had an opportunity to work with a whole bunch of minority suppliers out of Miami. And so not only was it about having primes at our table, but also having the subs at the table and having the subs eat, right? And so as I look out amongst all of you, I'm so excited to be here and present our services that UDC offers for workforce development and lifelong learning. So I'm going to actually jump right into my presentation today. Just to kind of go through, I have an amazing team of people with me today. So I'm going to need my team to stand up as we go through the locations in which they're situated throughout our region. First, I'm going to start with Bertie Backus, which is one of our largest campuses. I have Mr. Sherman Cook over there to my left. He's actually over our construction pathway, and so I kind of combined them a little bit. It's kind of construction and infrastructure because we know that's definitely a growing field that we have to take advantage of. Next, I actually can see Darius Baker to my right. He actually runs our Patricia R. Harris campus. That's our actually second largest campus, where we have a plethora of programs that we offer, which I'll go through. And he also manages automotive and transportation. But in addition to automotive and transportation, I call him my other person, right? And so Darius has a background in education, so he kind of jumps around based on the curriculum and based on projects that we have that we need to assign. Next, I have Majida Aljabar, who manages my Shag campus, standing next to Mr. Baker. She also has a large background in construction as well, and working with partnerships such as Job Corps, and she runs our hospitality and tourism pathway, which is a very, very strong outcome for district residents as we look at how we move district residents from one point to another in our pathway to middle class. I'm missing one of my site directors for United Medical Center, which is Mr. Jeffrey Holmes, who runs our healthcare program. So we have a whole bunch of individuals, about 620 students come out a year in our healthcare programs, anywhere ranging from CNA to phlebotomy. And so, in addition, I also have other members of my team with me. I have Dr. Michael Durant, if he could stand up for me. He actually runs our student success division for the community college side for workforce development. And then I also have my assessment director, who is in the back. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. I don't see the walking microphone, so I will not walk. So just to kind of give you an overview, this is the only program in the District of Columbia that allows district residents to come and receive stackable credentials at no cost. And so when we look at finding good people, because we know when projects come up, we don't have time to really look for good people, right? We need those people ready and available to come and go to work. And so what workforce development does is they train individuals to be able to receive those stackable credentials and able to go right to work. She's changing my slides. And they're able to go straight to work. So when we're looking at the opportunity, most of our opportunities currently lie in 5, 6, and 7. Not because we're excluding any district residents, but because those are where our campuses are located. And so when we're getting the word out about opportunities that are available, when they look at us, they see workforce development. So when they walk into our doors, they're saying, where do you have work for us? And so what we do is we actually do an intake process with all of our individuals. As long as they're 18 years or older, they have a high school diploma, and they're willing and ready to go to work. And so what we do is we take them through a battery of tests. So we CASA test them, which is reading and math skills. And then we also sit with them and see how ready are they to go to work. Because that's key for us. We're making sure that they not only say they want a job, but they want a career. And so taking them to the next level. So what we've started doing is we do an intake process with all of our job seekers at that time. Then they become our students. Once they become our students, they go through the series. Usually our programs run anywhere from 30 hours to 120 hours. They sit for certification, in which we pay for if they're successful in the class. That means attendance, that means attitude. So when we look at it flexibility, adaptability, sustainability, and ready to go to work. And so when you come in, which I know all of you will, to source and seek the individuals that have obtained credentials within that industry, you're doing an on-site job fair or on-site career fair to actually interview those students that we have so that you can see, are they ready to work at your place of employment? All right, so let's talk a little bit about how we do this. So I've been in the district for 3.5 years, and I partnered with Corey Gray, but I've also partnered with PepCo and other individuals within the community. Coming here in April 2017, working for the mayor's office directly before coming to UDC, I started a pilot program called Quick Path to Energy. And what that program said was, we're gonna find the best of the best to be able to get them hired by PepCo or some of their subs. And so what I did was I sat in a table, and this is my ask to all of you, based on your industry, that we sit at industry roundtable sessions and understand what are your needs as a business. How do we sit and make sure that the curriculum that we're teaching is the curriculum that you need to get individuals to not only come to your work site, but come to your work site prepared with whatever you need for us to move on to the next level. And so there's 2 asks that we have. One, that you participate in the industry sector roundtables, and you can actually sign up at our table based on your industry. 2, that you offer internships, externships, or recruitment events for our students. And so we know that sometimes they're sitting in the classroom, and you heard Mr. Stovall talk about our classrooms are just classrooms. So sometimes they're not built out or modeled out like the job setting that needs to be done for hands-on outreach. And so the one thing that we ask of you is that when you have internship opportunities for our students, whether it's apprenticeship or whatever you may have, that we're able to get our students signed up with you to come out and work on your job site with you, to understand what it takes in the day-to-day after they've completed their program and become certified, that they can actually work with you and possibly obtain full employment with you. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the PepCo project before I close out and before I talk about the direct pathway through construction. So what we did in 2017, we hosted 5 cohorts. We hosted 5 cohorts, 100 individuals, and out of all of those individuals, 62 of them got hired permanently between PepCo and their subs. But the only way we were able to do that was with the help of PepCo and with the help of the subs. Because so often we hear from employers, they say they don't have the right skills we need. You know, so us understanding what skills are valuable to you helps us through teaching and learning. And so when we looked at some of the things based on labor market information and how, what drives the labor market information, not only here in the District of Columbia, what drives the labor market information for DMV, we looked at the main jobs that will be offered through 2023. And so when we looked at the jobs, we cross-matched them to the certifications, and based on the certifications, you'll see up above, we offer apartment maintenance, construction skills, carpentry, plumbing, electrical, and other certifications that individuals need. And so in addition to also training individuals that we have coming to you, we would also like the opportunity to train individuals that you have that are currently employed. And so another unique piece that we offer through the community college is our continuing education, where you can actually group cohorts of individuals, say they need first aid CPR. Let's just throw that one out there, right? And so all of your staff need to be trained in first aid CPR because DOT just came down and said, you know what, no one can work on this site without this training. And so when you pick up the phone and you call, we want to be your first call that you make to say, hey, you know what, we need individuals trained and we need them trained fast. So how fast can you put together some curriculum and how fast can you get over here and train my individuals so we don't have to shut down our work site or I don't have to send anyone home without pay so that we can get this done. And so that's through our continuing education division, but we can guide the process every step of the way. My name again is Anika Holmes. Any of my site directors can assist you in any way that you may need. But if you have any questions or concerns, again, we have a booth over there. All of the individuals that currently come through our program are 100% district residents because it's no cost. Anyone living outside of the district, unfortunately, is not eligible for our program, but through continuing education, they can take classes with payment. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Anika. I didn't realize that if you are a district resident, you can send your children, your kids, 18 and above, here, free of charge. That is extremely awesome. And it appears that you do a great job, and we want to thank PEPCO for partnering with you and bringing the opportunities for workforce development. We really appreciate that. We also have another, just left. The next person I'd like to bring up would be the university's Vice President of Capital Assets and Real Estate Services, CARES, and that's Mr. Eric Thompson. Mr. Thompson, CARES includes all real estate related transactions, managing maintenance of all the university's facilities, and capital planning and construction. Mr. Thompson is tasked with the responsibility of significantly improving the university's facilities and infrastructure. Mr. Thompson.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me. I'm a small guy with a little voice. It's kind of hard to hear me in the back. One of the great things about speaking last or close to the end is everyone covers your points. So it allows me to talk more openly and freely about why I'm so excited for you guys to be here today. One of the great things about having the bosses that I have are they like to look at things at 10,000 foot and then let us look at things in details. They see the forest, I get to see the trees. So then I get to work with people that are actually going to help me cut those trees down, do the work. So it's actually a part of my job that I get excited about. And it's because that focus they have on the forest, and I get to look at the trees, is that I get to focus on how can I best perform what is my job. My job is to make sure people reach their full potential, period. There's nothing in my day, every day, that I do that I can't link back to that statement. Now, naturally, because I'm at a university, everyone would say, oh, he's talking about students. They're part of it. You're a big part of it as well. If I'm not helping companies reach their full potential, the staff at those companies reach their full potential, contractors reach their full potential, the company they can become, they can grow into, I'm not doing my job. I like doing my job. Some of the things you heard my boss talk about, 50-year-old facilities and not enough money. I have to like doing my job. And one of the things I like is that I get to help people reach their full potential. I'm so excited this morning about seeing the size of this room. I won't ask for a show of hands, but there's some of us in here that can remember a time when if a similar invitation went out from the University of the District of Columbia, this room would not be full. And I think it speaks to the change that has been happening at the university. And I'm somewhat biased, but the next part of that change is our physical environment. First 15 years of my career, I worked as a consultant, and I've done way too many focus groups and talked to way too many college students to ever remember. But the one thing that is consistently said by every freshman I've ever met, they didn't pick a school because of the academic problems. They didn't. You might have got on the list because you had a number of professors and you had their major and the things they're interested in. You might have got to the top of the list because you're in National News and World Report's top whatever account of the year. But you got picked, and the COO alluded to this a little earlier, you got picked because of the way you made them feel. My mom went to that school. My sister used to take me to the pep rallies every year. When I went on my campus tour, I could just think of how much fun I would have in that student center. That's how the students pick a university. So back to my first point, I'm responsible for helping people reach their full potential. If I don't give them a space that's gonna make them have that feeling when they get here or take that virtual tour, they're not gonna come. And I don't know what you call a university without students. Buildings? Campus? I guess it's still a campus. But if I can't get them to come here, what's the point? To get to their full potential, what's the point? And I need you to do that. I got a great team. I'm a very, very blessed and fortunate man. But that team is incomplete because not anyone on my team can do what you do. We could not take a set of drawings and turn it into a renovation. We couldn't do that while the room on both sides of it are teaching classes or full of administrators every day. We couldn't do that in the schedule that I have that is going to be much different than a lot of other jobs because I have dates based on politics and academics, not construction and rationale. So my team now can't do what you do, so I need you to apply for these opportunities. I need you to have this interest in the university that I'm seeing in the room today. It is the only way I can be successful. And I'm fully dependent on you. And for that reason, I like to see contractors in two different ways. Partners and vendors. Everybody has vendors. Nothing wrong with a vendor. I want to make sure I'm saying that clear as possible for all the procurement people in the back. Nothing's wrong with a vendor. You're going to tell me how much you need to do what I'm asking you to do, and I'm going to pay you to do that work. Nothing wrong with that. I much prefer a partner. The firm that gets the bigger picture, that gets why we're trying to renovate that space, that gets why he's paying us for it, but he's asking us to work 3 shifts to make this schedule. That get what the larger picture is than just taking a wall down or replacing a mechanical system or replacing a roof. They get the larger, I would much rather have those partners. And another note that was made earlier is I have a list of partners now, partners and vendors right now that I've been working with here since I got to the university in 2009. And I'm happy with that list. But if I stay with that list, am I doing my job? A real small group of people that I'm helping reach their full potential. I want to grow that list by working with, or at least having the opportunity to work with each and every one of you in this room. Because the University of the District of Columbia is going to be a premier institution in the district. That's going to happen. I know a lot of people probably think of that as being pretty audacious considering some of our peers in the city, Georgetown, American, GW. But any great achievement came from an audacious statement. We're going to be a premier institution in the District of Columbia. What I want you to ask yourself is how big of a partner are you going to be in that transition? Thank you so much for a few minutes to talk to you this morning. I will be around afterwards to answer any questions you may have. I'm more than willing to give out business cards and meet with you and talk about the things you think you can partner and help the university with. Again, yes, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you.
Eric, I'd like to present this proclamation from the Maryland Washington Minority Companies Association to you for the Minority Outreach Champion recognition presented to the University of the District of Columbia, UDC, for hosting the Contractors Outreach Fair to educate and raise awareness to the business opportunities that exist for local, small, minority, and women-owned businesses with UDC, leading prime companies and government agencies. Your contributions and outreach to local, small, minority, and women-owned firms is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
If you catch nothing else from this, it's because I have $120 million to spend over the next 6 years. And I'm going to spend half of it
Half of it. All I can say on that is praise the Lord. $120 million. Our next and final speaker is Mr. Timothy Milner, who is the Director of Capital Planning and Construction, and he's responsible for the planning and management of the university's capital projects, including design and construction. Tim, please come forward.
Good morning. Good morning. Let's see. Welcome to the Contractors Outreach. I hope this is one of a continuing series of events that we'll have to kind of welcome you guys to, or encourage you to work with us in our capital improvement process. You heard the Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Stovall, talk a lot about the equity imperative. I think you heard Mr. Thompson also speak about that. And just so all of you all are clear on exactly what they did, I'm going to read a sentence I think it may have been Mr. Stovall. The equity imperative, simply put, is the strategic plan developed by the university to put this university on track to become the higher education institution of choice for residents of the District of Columbia. As the city's only public university, it is our mission to provide an equitable opportunity for all district residents to have access to the educational tools necessary to attain and maintain a middle-class life in the city now and in the future. So all of the projects that we talk about during this presentation are going to be projects that are geared towards helping the university attain its goal of the goals included in the equity imperative. If you bear with me for just a second here, I have a little, this is a clip from the mayor's State of the District address from 2018. Maybe. Our goal with the capital improvement plan over the next 6 to 10 years is to completely rebuild the facilities at the University of the District of Columbia. Now, I think a lot of you might already be familiar with the campus, but just to orient you and give you some sense of where you are now, we're currently in building 56 on this map that's shown on the board, which is in the lower corner with the Van Ness Street and Connecticut Avenue intersection. This building, the student center that you're in now, is the first new building that the University of the District of Columbia has constructed since the 1980s. This is it. All the other buildings still have 1970s, 1980s infrastructure, including mechanical and plumbing systems. The Van Ness campus consists of these buildings. Right now we've got 14 buildings, which combined total about 1.5 million square feet at the Van Ness campus. Again, most of the buildings are 1970s, 1980s. A lot of the equipment is still 1970s, 1980s. The building 41 that you see over on kind of the western part of the campus is a building that had to be, well, it's in the process of being closed down because it basically had HVAC system failures. So everything that's in that building, we're in the process of moving out. So that includes the library, the main library, the College of Arts and Sciences, the Jazz Archives. Everything in that building has to be moved out. So basically that building is going to be vacant. Coming around to building 44, that's the College of Agriculture, Urban Sustainability, and Environmental Sciences. That's the one building on campus that has a green roof. They actually grow fruits, vegetables on top of that roof. That building is also in danger of failing because of the dilapidated HVAC system. The plan right now, you heard Eric and Mr. Stovall talk about building the 4250 building, which is right along Connecticut Avenue with the white letters on top of it. The plan is to move the folks in the College of Arts and Sciences and the College of Agriculture, Urban Sustainability, and Environmental Sciences over to the 4250 building. And then at some point, the building 44 could possibly become the on-campus dormitory that you heard some mention of earlier. And going around up to building 52, which is the law school, we've done several renovations in that building recently. We'll show you some of those. And then coming around to the tennis courts, we're in the process of scheduling a project to redo the tennis courts. Coming over to building 47, we're about to kick off 2 projects to upgrade that building. And then towards the middle of campus, you see a cluster of buildings that says 3242, which is the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. And then behind that is the building 43, the Central Heating and Cooling Plant. So this is the compact University of the District of Columbia campus where we're going to spend the bulk of the funds. However, there's also the community college and Firebird Farms. The community college is the Bernie Backus campus on South Dakota Avenue, which is the building that the university owns, but the university also occupies space in several other buildings around the city, including 801 North Capitol Street. That entire building is part of the community college. In fact, that's where the chief of the community college has his office. And the university also has a 144-acre farm out in Prince George's County, Maryland. That project is, plot of land is primarily for urban farming research. They do a lot of farming. I know a lot of people are not, the idea of farming and urban farming is a little seems sort of contradictory, but they do a lot of research there to teach people how to grow food in a very limited space. And we're in the process of helping them upgrade the infrastructure there. As you see from these four photos, you can see that, get some idea of the condition of mechanical and electrical systems that we have in our buildings. And believe it or not, these are not the worst. So we have some in worse condition than this. This kind of gives you an idea of what we're working with right now, the types of work that we need to get done in order to bring our campus up to the standards that we wanted to attain. And during this presentation, we're going to talk about some programs that we recently completed, some of our current construction projects and some of our current design projects, some design build projects that we're going to have coming out, and we're going to talk about IDIQ contracting. Indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contracting. Here's a list of some of the projects that we recently completed, and that includes the relocating the main library out of building 41 because of the conditions there, and located the library into a swing space in building 39. The photo in the upper left is the new location for basically the temporary location for the library. And the photos on the right-hand side are some projects that we just completed for the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, a couple of computer labs there. And we just completed, about 6 months ago, we completed constructing a new law school library. The law school library was in building 39. We built a new law school library in the law school, which is in building 52. The lower level of that building was basically used for just storage. We cleared all that out and turned that into a sparkling new law school library. And we also renovated the 3rd floor of that building. The photo at the bottom right-hand corner. We made a lot of new learning spaces, different styles of academic teaching spaces in that building. Current construction projects also include renovating spaces for the Architectural Research Institute and the School of Engineering, several projects in that building. We're just awarded a project to replace the stage lighting in the university's theater. We've got 2 projects going on in the gymnasium that they're just about to kick off. We're going to place the bleachers and the flooring, 2 separate projects. And there's a lot of infrastructure upgrades going on at Firebird Farms. And we're going to also relocate the data center from building 41 to the lower level of this building. So that project was just awarded. And we're also going to redo all of the wayfinding signage in the exterior and interior signs. We've started on the exterior signs. We've got a little ways to go with that. We're also going to do the interior wayfinding signs. We're in the process of completing construction on the accommodations for the 3D metal printing machine that we acquired about a year and a half ago. The Architectural Research Institute spaces in Building 32 are about 50% done. The project for the data center relocation in Building 56, which is this building, lower level, it was just awarded, so we expect that work to be completed sometimes around spring of next year. We got the two projects in the gymnasium that are, one is to replace the flooring in the gymnasium and the other is to replace the bleachers. We've got the windows. Now, one of the long-term objectives that we have is to replace all of the windows in every building on campus. And we've completed 3242 building. We're also, the next buildings that we're going to do is 46 East and 46 West. That project is just awarded again. So the kickoff should happen, I guess, in the next couple of weeks for that construction. We're going to upgrade the infrastructure at Firebird Farms out in Prince George's County. And a big part of that is upgrading the electrical system from two-phase to three-phase. And we're going to also construct restrooms and septic field. Projects that we currently have in design, which means at some point they're going to be coming out for bid, the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences renovations, additional renovations in those two buildings. Development of on-campus swing space, as these spaces that are being renovated they're currently occupied, so we have to find swing space for the existing uses of some temporary locations for the people that are in those spaces. There's always instructional space renovations going on, administrative space enhancements in various buildings, and we're going to replace the athletic fields, which is 2 soccer fields, and that's going to be a 2-phase project. And we're also going to, Mr. Stovall mentioned the building across the street, 4225 Connecticut Avenue, which some people might know as the Walgreens building. It used to be a Walgreens. It's a 20,000 square foot building that's currently in design for the interior renovations. We started a campus-wide paver restoration project several years ago, and we're up to phase 3 of that project. If you walk around the plaza area, you'll see that there's 2 different types of pavers on the around the campus. The idea is to extend that new paver all the way over to the gymnasium. And then around building 52, the law school, there are some drainage issues there that we have to replace, that we have to address. So we're going to dig up that entire area around the law school and replace the pavers there while we repair the drainage issue that's causing some leaks in the lower level. And then we're going to we've got a kitchen, actually 2 kitchens at the very back. One of them is already awarded, the other one's going to go out for bids. And the Firebird Farm infrastructure, architecture school renovations. And as Mr. Stovall also mentioned, we are intending to replace every roof on this campus, every single roof except the roof on this building, since it's only a couple of years old. Every roof on this campus is going to be replaced. And we're starting with building 38. That project, we just had a bid opening on that. We got the next roof is going to be building 39 and then building 3242. And over the next couple of years, we're hoping to award projects to replace at least half of the roofs on campus, depending on how quickly we can get the contracts advertised and awarded. So one thing we have to realize here is any project that's over $1 million, that's $1 million or more, requires that our Board of Trustees approve that project. And then the project has to go to the City Council for their approval. So there are some constraints that we have in awarding some of these projects if it exceeds those dollar amounts. We've got a lot of HVAC work to do. All of our buildings, with the exception of this new building, all of our buildings have HVAC systems that need some attention. Most of the buildings are on the central heating and cooling plant, and those distribution systems are very old. Most of the VAV boxes in all of the spaces on campus don't work. Some of the air handlers work okay. Most of them need some attention. There are no controls to speak of. So the old pneumatic controls that used to control all of this equipment no longer works. So the spaces are either really cool or really hot, typically. And that's a big problem when you have people trying to learn in these spaces. I think the largest project that we have right now is probably to relocate the main library. We're going to have we're going to construct a permanent location for the main library on the B level of building 38 and 39. And that project is about 95% design. We're hoping to have we're hoping to get the project up to procurement later this year so that we can get bids on it and actually start construction early next year. We have the soccer fields that we intend to replace the existing 2 soccer fields with artificial turf soccer fields. That's going to be a 2-phase project. The first phase is going to be probably, it's in design right now, so it's probably going to be awarded around spring of next year so we can get the work done in the summer of next year to replace the first soccer field. The second soccer field is currently the temporary home of some of the elementary and middle schools that are being renovated for the District of Columbia. There are trailers on that site. Once those trailers are removed, we're going to go ahead and renovate that second soccer field. Building the 4225 Connecticut Avenue building, which we just signed a 10 or 15-year lease on, is going to be swing space. We've done a programming and a design to convert that building to swing space. The occupants of that building are going to be the University Television Studio, the Jazz Archives, and our communications department is going to move into that building. It's a 20,000 square foot building. The entire space on the interior is going to be completely renovated. And we also have projects to address some of the drainage issues on the campus. So this is showing some of the designs of Bertie Backus Kitchen, the second phase of that project. Bertie Backus is the community college building on South Dakota Avenue. We're going to build 2 kitchens there. The phase 2 is in design. There are other upgrades expected to the gymnasium, including the HVAC upgrades. We have living learning spaces of the future that we're going to design. The 4250 building is probably going to have some of these new living learning spaces in. That's going to be a very large project. That's a 200,000 square foot building. The university is leasing it for the moment. They have a 3-year lease with the option to purchase that building. I think the purchase is going to take place next year, and the cost to renovate that building is going to be fairly significant, probably more than it would cost to build a 30,000 square foot building brand new. We do have a budget. We prefer to go ahead and do the programming before we actually publish what we think it's going to cost, because it's probably going to cost more than we think. Because right now we haven't even done the programming for it. We're starting that process. But after the programming is done and the building is purchased, we're going to do the design, and then we're going to see if the construction can take place all at once, or whether we have to do some phasing, because since we're currently putting the College of Arts and Sciences in that building along with the College of Agriculture and Urban Sustainability, if we do the whole building at once, that means we got to pull them out and find swing space for them, and that means we maybe have to lease another space someplace. So. Some of the upcoming design build projects that we have, the tennis court refurbishment project was just posted. The bids are, this is a request for proposals, so the proposals are due on the 22nd of June. So, and it's calling for a post-tension concrete surface to go to the existing tennis courts as the basis for design. If anyone has any better solutions, you can also submit those in the request for proposal. We're going to construct a student center kitchen downstairs on the lower level of this building. This building was constructed to be the cafeteria, to house the cafeteria, the main cafeteria for the campus, but the kitchen wasn't built out. We've been using the kitchen on building 39 on the B level, but that space is going to become the part of the library. So we're going to move the kitchen down to where it's supposed to be, and that design build project should be on the streets this fall. There's a water runoff dashboard. This is a kind of a specialty type project. It's for the College of Agriculture, Urban Sustainability, and Environmental Sciences. They want a way to measure the amount of water that the green roof on building 44 is preventing from going into the city's sewer system. So we're going to install a monitoring system for them to measure that. There are design build project for the Birdie Bacchus restrooms. That project is about to go up to procurement to be put out on the streets for bids. Again, the design build, we fully expect whoever is awarded the contract will give you a basis for design, and then we expect you to design it and build it. Construct restrooms and septic systems at Firebird Farms. That's out in Prince George's County. That's another design build. If anyone wants to go out and take a look at the farm to see what's going on out there, just give us a call. We'll be glad to go out there with you. The campus wayfinding signage is also a design build. We kind of have a basic design for that, but we need someone to come in and kind of identify the different locations within each one of our buildings, kind of do a layout of where the signs are, and then start installing those. And we're going to replace every elevator in all of our buildings, again with the exception of this new building. Every elevator is going to be replaced. Now, I know that's another specialty type of construction project. You have to be an elevator company to do that work. And here's just photos of the projects that I just mentioned, the tennis courts and the bathroom renovations. And the lower left is the Firebird Farm photo. And then these are some of the projects that we intend to complete. They might be a little further down the line. Once the roofs on all of our buildings are replaced, we expect to start installing solar panels on every building that we have on campus, with the exception of Building 44, which already has a green roof. This also applies to the Birdie Bacchus campus, which has a very large roof. We're going to renovate the 200,000 square foot 4250 Connecticut Avenue building. Building 3242, we're in the process of beginning a programming to accommodate the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences expanding programs. They have a lot of programs that are growing, and we need to figure out a way to accommodate their programs in spaces that are suitable for scientists and engineers. The 20,000 square foot, there's another 20,000 square feet at Birdie Bacchus that has to be renovated. It's an existing building. Most of the building has already been renovated. There's about 20,000 square feet more that needs to be renovated. And part of that 20,000 square foot is an old gymnasium. And then we're going to complete the athletic fields. There's other work to be done at the building 47, the gymnasium. We're going to redo the locker rooms and some classrooms in that building. And then there's some work that we're going to have to do for the community college because their programs are also growing. We'd like to get them out of building 801 North Capitol Street and put them into a permanent building someplace on land that we own instead of paying rent downtown. And we fully expect to construct a dormitory someplace on campus on property that the university owns. And this is the building at 4250 Connecticut Avenue. This is the 200,000 square foot building. And the mayor included in her budget for, I think for next year, she included $35 million to purchase that building. So once it's purchased, then we can start the renovations. Now, a lot of our work in the capital planning and construction office is done through indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity types of contracts. And what this is that we put out an RFP, request for proposal, for contractors who might be qualified. Now, in this case, we have a general contractor, IDIQ, and we're going to also do an MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, IDIQ. So the idea is for us to have a pool of about 10 to 15 or so contractors that we can use. If you're an IDIQ contractor, That means that rather than putting the project out for open bids, we can go to like 3 of those IDIQ contractors and ask them to give us a bid on a specific project. Now the thing is, we're limited right now to $950,000 per year per contractor. So, so if we have 5 IDIQ contractors, basically saying we can do $5 million worth of work on an IDIQ contract. Now, the new IDIQ solicitation is going out in June. Again, if you're interested in sending in a proposal to be an IDIQ contractor, one thing that we ask you to do is to respond to every question on the request for a proposal. So if it asks you to give us an organization chart, we have to see an organization chart, because the IDIQ proposals are evaluated by a technical evaluation. There's no, since we know that it's going to be a $950,000 contract, there's no price evaluation. So it's all a technical evaluation. So if you're interested, just make sure you answer all the questions and make sure that you're qualified for the type of work that we're asking for. Now, all of the capital planning and construction solicitations are on the website that you see here. And if you click onto that website, you're going to see this page that comes up. You can see the request for proposals for the tennis court is the top one. This shows all of the university's capital solicitations, current and past. You can scroll down this sheet, this page, and you can see pretty much every solicitation for the last 2-3 years is on here. And if you click on the red part up underneath, you'll see a detailed description of the type of work that we're asking to have done. And there's a detailed statement of work. It'll tell you when the bids or proposals are due, and it'll give you any contact information that you might need. So in summary, we're looking for, like Eric was saying, we're looking for contractors to help us make this university what it needs to be, to give people an opportunity to have some place they can go to get an education, to get a job that will help them get into and stay in the middle class. Obviously, there's going to be some significant investments necessary to get us to that point. The mayor is committed to helping us out. The president, board of trustees, everybody's on board with it. All we need is for people, qualified contractors, to come in and help us do what we have to do. That's pretty much the end of my presentation, but before I go, I'd like to thank Mr. Frazier, Mr. Wayne Frazier, Ms. Pat Frazier for helping us put this program on, Cliff Johnson and the Student Center staff for making all these arrangements, setting the room up and making everything possible for us to gather here today. The guest speakers from DSLBD, DC Water, and MWMCA, thank you for being here with us today. And thanks to the community college staff, workforce development group. Thanks to all the exhibitors for coming in today to help us out. Thanks to the videographers, Media Terran on the video team. And thanks to the CARES team and the capital planning and construction team for helping us set all this up. And thank you all for taking your time to come out and spend a couple of hours with us today. And again, if you have any questions, we'll entertain some questions now, but you can contact me at any time, email, telephone call. If you want a meeting just to see if what you're offering us is something that we can take advantage of, I'd be glad to meet you. Thank you.